the internet without censorship. So we in the British Council have coined the term cultural relations, and I sense that we're moving away from that a little bit, because it sounds a bit sniffy to say we're not this, we're what we say we are. And our stakeholders, the people who fund us, the people that we're accountable to, like to talk about soft power and public diplomacy, so increasingly we're talking about that with them. But I think what's really important for us is that the way that we do what we do is as important as what we do. So we are the UK's international organisation for culture and educational connections. And remember that I said the 5 dimensions that are used to measure a country's effectiveness in soft power: culture and education, innovation as well, which I would argue is very much part of education, and diplomacy, and we are a quasi-diplomatic organisation, means that those 5 indicators are very, very relevant to what we do in the British Council. Our values are really important, and I wonder whether when you hear me say values, you think, oh my God, you know, you've heard the older generation say our values are different, young people these days don't have values. For me, values are what is important to you, and therefore they're important to you and they drive what you do. And the British Council's values, first of all, are people. People are at the heart of everything we do. Secondly, creativity. Everything we do, we try to do creatively, and we try to do it well. So thirdly, professionalism. But the last 2 that I'm going to mention, I don't think any of them have primacy over any of the others, but the next 2, mutuality and integrity, are also absolutely vital. Integrity, we need to be honest, we need to connect with people in an honest and open way. And mutuality is a word that actually I'd never heard till I joined the British Council, but what it means is that everything we do, we try to ensure that there is mutual benefit, we try to ensure that there is mutual respect. And what that means is a couple of things we are not. We are not about promotion of the UK. We are not about saying the UK is a great country, it does everything perfectly, learn from it. And at the same time, we're not about propaganda. So one of the things that underlines our approach is recognising that actually the UK's made some mistakes, and that in some areas the way that the UK does things isn't very good. And so when we bring people together, we're trying to bring people together for mutual exchange, recognising that actually everybody has something to bring to the table. So, for example, the UK is not very good at language learning. Most countries of the world, and most Romanians, I've only been in Bucharest for three months, but I can't believe how good all the young people in particular, but most people in general, are at English. And if you go to the UK, you'll be lucky if you find a native English person who can speak fluently any language other than English. So that mutual exchange is something that's really very important for us. And one of the things that we are trying to do is ensure that everything we do brings benefit to both sides, as it were. And again, one of the benefits that the UK needs at the moment is to be international. And having made a decision in a referendum earlier this year which essentially makes it more difficult for the UK to connect with the rest of the world, certainly makes it more difficult for the UK to connect with the rest of Europe. Work of soft power, public diplomacy, cultural relations becomes all the more important because young British people are competing for jobs in a global marketplace, and they need international skills, they need to be internationally connected, and if they don't have that, they're not going to be successful. And if our young people are not successful, the UK will not be successful. Part of the UK's attractiveness is our higher education institutions. Our higher education institutions are world class. They're world class because they're globally connected. Something like 20% of the workforce of our universities is international. And one of the implications of the referendum decision is that actually it will be more difficult for people, non-British people, to reside in the UK, and that is a real threat to the world-classness, if that's a phrase, of our universities. So, I'll just finish off with very quickly a little bit of the history of the British Council. As I said, we were founded in 1934. We were founded as a response to the fact that intolerance was rising across Europe. And sadly we see that happening rather a lot these days as well. And we were founded as a way of connecting, helping British people connect and therefore better understand and build trust and understanding and a friendly knowledge between people of Britain and other countries. And our work initially was very, very much focused on Europe. We opened here in Romania in 1938, so we've been here now for, 78 years. Of those 78 years, for only 9 of them have the UK and Romania been fellow members of the European Union. So when people say to me, what does Brexit mean for the British Council here in Romania, I say, well, it's business as usual. It's business as it was for the all but 9 years of the 78 we've been active. British Council does a lot of work. I mean, priority areas for us, and an area where I've just been working until very recently, is North Africa, the Middle East, North Africa region. We do a lot of work to connect young people. One of our catchphrases, building a friendly knowledge and understanding, is sadly all too relevant these days. And when people say to me, well, what does that really mean? I challenge them to say, okay, what's the opposite of friendly? Unfriendly. What's the opposite of knowledge? Ignorance. And there are a lot of people who are spreading unfriendly ignorance at the moment and who are manipulating unfriendly ignorance to build ill-feeling. ISIS, Daesh is a very good example of that. And where I was working in North Africa, young people were at threat from recruiters who were preying on their lack of resilience. These people didn't have jobs, they don't have much money, they don't have a lot of hope, they don't have a lot of education, and somebody from ISIL comes along and says, okay, we'll make you special, we'll make you big, we'll give you money, we'll make you someone. That's a very, very attractive proposition. And so in response to things like that, soft power, public diplomacy, cultural relations is a very, very important and powerful tool. And that's why I'm committed to what I do, and that's why I'm committed to coming to talk to people like yourselves, which I do on a regular basis. So, I think I've talked about 10 or 15 minutes, so I'll stop there. Thank you very much for listening. I hope I haven't bored you, but I look forward now to hearing your questions. You're very kind. That didn't mean you need to applaud, but thank you.